So I'm sure all of you, including myself, have been taught that the first battle of the American Revolution took place at Lexington and Concord, and then a year afterwards in 1776, penned by Thomas Jefferson with the help of Benjamin Franklin and a couple of others like John Adams. The U.S. declared its independence from Britain. But people in maybe just West Virginia would argue that there's actually a whole entire park here in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, dedicated to what they call in West Virginia the, quote, first battle of the American Revolution. You have here, this is a very unusual monument, to say the least. The Magazine Monument. It's got Colonel Charles Lewis, who died in 1774. Of course, this is a year before the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So these people here in West Virginia, they say that the first battle of the American Revolution took place here, at this place that I'm standing at right now. Now, this Magazine Monument, and I'm going to go towards this. Look at this giant obelisk that they have built here. Most historians will say that this was actually the ending battle of the Lord Dunmore's War. So Lord Dunmore's War actually coalesced into, or was at the very end of the beginning of the American Revolution. The two conflicts, there was a confluence of them, which is very apt because we are at the confluence of these two rivers right here. And if I'm going to take a panoramic shot of this, now I'm actually standing on a peninsula. It's in the middle of the Ohio River. This park here, it's actually a West Virginia state park. You can see the Ohio River is right out here. This is a beautiful park. Absolutely stunning, magnificent views of the confluence of these two rivers. This was the only area, believe it or not, that the Native Americans would even go near in West Virginia. Native Americans lived all around West Virginia. They lived in Virginia, they lived in Kentucky, north, south, east, and west of West Virginia, but they wouldn't come into this area. I have heard that Kentucky means the bloody lands, and West Virginia was cursed even before Europeans came into the area by various Native American skinwalkers, medicine men, etc. Native Americans did not like to live in West Virginia. This one parcel of land right here at the confluence of these two rivers was important to the Native Americans, that they fought and died over it. And this was the culminating battle that we have right here in this area of Lord Dunmore's War. Or if you're, I guess, a West Virginian, you say this is the first battle of the American Revolution. Now this, I have never seen anything like this, at least in this area. This is called the Magazine, dedicated to those militiamen who were buried in the Magazine and the surrounding battlefield on October 11, 1774. Colonel Lewis, and then it lists the men that died in the battle, including one unknown soldier. The Magazine used for storage of gunpowder, food, grain, etc. After the battle, it was used to entomb the body of Colonel Charles Lewis and others who died in the battle. And you can see this was made possible by the Sons of the American Revolution. That's probably going to be my final stop next week on my great patriotic tour. But I've never seen anything like this. The colonel is actually entombed within this. Within this magazine. Now I'm going to walk towards this obelisk. commemorating the Battle of Point Pleasant. Now, those of you that know your history, see Lord Dunmore, he was the colonial governor of Virginia back in those days when Britain still ruled the colonies, the 13 original colonies. He informed the House of Burgesses that was in Virginia. This is something that I actually have to teach my students. The House of Burgesses was one of the very first governing bodies for Europeans on the North American continent. It's got a list, a very in-depth list of the men that fought, the captains, the companies. It's very well organized. Look how tall this is. This thing is a monstrous monument. I did not even know that this thing existed. As you can see down here, this is at the base. Virginians killed in the Battle of Point Pleasant. Again, it's another list of them. It's very well organized. This is a very well made monument. Beautiful, beautiful monument. And something that I just did not expect to see in such an obscure place. I'm right here at the base of it right now, looking at it from the bottom up. Fantastic. Look at the artistry on this. The belt buckle. Look at the phrase on his jacket. I think there's even some veins in his hand there. Not nearly as detailed as other statues I've seen, like that of Jackson on the Capitol Hill of Nashville. But see, this monument was erected in the year 1909 in commemoration of the Battle of Point Pleasant, fought at the mouth of the Great Kawana River, now in West Virginia, October 10th, 1774, between 1,250 Virginia colonial troops composing the left wing of Lord Dunmore's army, commanded by General Andrew Lewis, on one side, and an equal number of warriors from the United Indian Nations, Shawnees, Delawares, Mingos, Wyandots, Miamis, and Ottawas, northwest of the Ohio, on the other. At the head of these warriors were the renowned Shawnee chief Keokukua, known to the Virginians as Cornstalk. Now, Cornstalk was later betrayed by the Virginians. I think he was executed in 1777 after he was tricked to come back to the fortress. It would have been like 3 or 4 years after this battle actually took place. And he also put a curse on this area, which, if it wasn't cursed enough already, that just added to the curse of the paranormal activity of this area. But you can see right here, this was pretty much, let's see, the Battle of Cornstalk. Oh yeah, okay, so one man out of every 5 of their number engaged is being killed and wounded. Cornstalk was atrociously murdered by the whites at Point Pleasant on November 10th, 1777, 3 years and 1 month after the battle. So it actually has that on this plaque. I was just getting ahead of myself. Cornstalk's battle cry was "Be strong," and this was pretty much like the last stand of Native Americans that were fighting over this area of Virginia and Ohio. So this was the culminating battle, as I said, of Lord Dunmore's War. The end of Lord Dunmore's War and the beginning of the American Revolution, because, as you know, the next year after this, 1775, you actually have the governors of the colonies actually going against the colonists in the American Revolution. Incredible monument. Did not expect to see this in Point Pleasant. As I'm continuing my tour through this state park, you can see this wall is an actual flood wall, an old flood wall designed to try to keep the Kewanee and Ohio rivers from flooding into the town and preventing the kind of tragedy that happened in Texas, unfortunately, on Saturday. When I first looked at this, I thought this was a man. This is oh my God. The name of this is Ann Bailey, Heroine of the Frontier. Here lies mad Ann Bailey, heroine of the Virginia frontier. Ann Hannes came to Virginia at age 19 and married Richard Trotter, who was later killed at the Battle of Point Pleasant, so he was killed here at that battle. Mad Ann dressed in buckskins and galloped off to avenge her husband's death. She traveled to the remote settlements carrying messages and later married John Bailey, a member of the garrison of Fort Lee, Charleston, in 1785. She rode 200 miles round trip from Fort Lee to Fort Savannah for gunpowder in 1790. Wow. She was born in Liverpool, England in 1742, died in 1825. Never heard of Mad Ann Bailey before. I love history. I learn something new every day. Another patriot. I don't know what look at these insects flying around this. Look, there's one on me right here. I don't know what these little guys are. The last time I saw these was when I was on the other end of the Ohio River, when I was in Cairo, Illinois last year. Some kind of flies. They don't bite. They're just very obnoxious. We don't have these down in Mississippi. I can't believe that we don't. All right, it looks like this is a monument for Chief Cornstalk, who I mentioned just a few minutes ago. Okay, in this monument, again, inside a monument, there's more remains. So they've got the remains of over here, the remains of the colonists in this monument, the remains of the Native American Coalition's leader, Cornstalk, is in this monument. Rest the remains of Cornstalk of the early settlers and frontiersmen. Chief Cornstalk was well known and respected by the white settlers and Indian tribes of the Ohio Valley as chief of the Shawnees and head of the Northwestern Confederated Tribes. Cornstalk decided to make peace with the white man. However, he was forced to lead the attack on the Long Knives at the Battle of Point Pleasant on October 10th, 1774. I'm getting covered in these little flies. I guess they're mayflies. Although he survived the battle, he was murdered 3 years later at the soldiers at Fort Randolph. I'm going to make an attempt to go to Fort Randolph, at least to reenact they rebuilt Fort Randolph. They rebuilt it 200 years in 1974, I believe. So they've actually got a reconstructed Fort Randolph. It's not the actual place where Fort Randolph was originally, because that's actually the town is built on where that is now. But I did not know that Chief Cornstalk was interred in this state park. Incredible. He's 50 years old. Homage to you, warrior Chief Cornstalk. You deserve better than the fate that was bestowed upon you. I think the curse that you put down upon this area really did take its... I think the bad karma that you placed on this area still survives to this day. Now here I am, I'm still in the state park. Again, you can see I keep off flood wall ledge. I'm sure people don't do that all the time. There's mayflies all in the air, and there's robins just having a feast on them. I guess these are mayflies everywhere. Mayflies seem to love the Ohio River. They don't seem to love the Mississippi, but they love the Ohio River. I'm walking towards this. I don't know if this is some sort of museum. What is this? Water a petroglyph, believed to have been a Shawnee altar stone by Walter Panther clan. It was a Cornstalks clan. This stone was found at nearby Leon, West Virginia, 10 Mile Creek. The spiral shape of the tail is believed to represent the whirlpools that were in the Kawana River at the time. Shawnee purportedly believed that it would drag evil spirits to the bottom of the river. The different levels of the steps indicates where the Shawnee placed offerings to their gods. Absolutely incredible. I guess the whirlpools disappeared once the Native Americans were all wiped out. It's really hard to see it. Even when I back out, I just... Oh, you have to really know what you're looking for. I guess the whirlpools disappeared and they stopped dragging the evil spirits down into the river. They sure didn't drag Mothman down and all the men in black that tortured this town and all the other things that have gone on here. This is incredible. I enjoy the fact that this state park is very well balanced between the colonials and the representation of the Native Americans. I just can't get over this monument. It's absolutely amazing. Both for the doggers. The mansion house. Let's see what this is. The mansion house was built in 1796 by Walter Newman for a tavern. It was the first Hugh log house in the Kawana Valley and was made entirely by hand. Later, it was enlarged, and in 1901, the Daughters of the American Revolution, aided by patriotic citizens of Mason County, had it restored to its original style. It has colonial and early American furnishings and is a reposition of relics. The colonial Colonel Charles Lewis chapter NSDAR are custodians and use it for a chapter house. So the American Daughters of the American Revolution, which my mother is a member of, actually uses a chapter meeting house. Incredible. Oh, I wish I could go in here. So this was a tavern. This was the place to be. 125 years ago, I guess. What is this? Surprised there's not a geocache in there. Looks like there's a basement. What's this? Oh yeah, it's fully furnished. Be neat to have DAR meetings in this. Love these porches. All these rocks are up here like this. Oh, I'm about to get attacked by mayflies again. I have to say, this is one of the most interesting state parks I have ever been in. And they sure are taking better care of it than the state park in Cairo, Illinois, which is a damn shame. It is a damn shame what they've done to Cairo, Illinois. All the history is there. And this is the exact opposite. They are taking very well care of this area. God. French leaden plate planted in 1749. It's even written in French. (1749) when the French were on their expedition in this area. God, there is so much history in such a small amount of place in this state park.